Well, are we all ready to have some more fun together? Okay, well, hello everyone, and thank you for joining us for this interactive session with your peers who will share their best practices on communications and programs. Let's take a moment to say thanks to our LTC 2020 sponsors, Parallon, Patient, Russell Investments, and Cenex. And now it is my pleasure to introduce Pete Sable, 2020-21 Chapter Advancement Team Chair, and Marcy Molman, Chapter Advancement Team Member, to welcome everyone and start this session off. Marcy, the floor is yours.
Welcome back, everyone. I don't know about you, Pete, but I've been really looking forward to this session. I always learn so much during best practice sharing.
Thanks, Marcy. Me too. And Mike, if you're still out there, I got you your beer. So hit me up, brother, and I'd be happy to share. Also threading into all that networking we've all been looking to do. So best practice sharing really is the MVP of the game, but in reality, Marcy, you're my MVP of this session. So thank you for all of your hard work. Today we'll be hearing from 4 chapters, my peeps in the South, Arizona, Northern Cal, my peeps up in the North. They're going to share their communication best practices, and then my friends over in Colorado and Region 8 will share their educational programming best practices, and each presentation will be doing a short Q&A.
Yeah, thanks for calling me your MVP, because apparently I'm just a member while you're the chair. You've got higher rank for me on this one. But everyone, while you're listening to the best practice sessions, make sure you type your questions into the Q&A so we can throw them over to the team.
And with that, let's get started with my friends in Arizona.
Today, I want to give a little segment on how to help your chapters organically grow their LinkedIn company page. My name is Kayla Wagner, and I am the communications chair for the Arizona chapter. So I'll just get started and hope everybody enjoys what they see and can implement some of it for their own chapters. First thing I want to go through is the difference between a LinkedIn group page and a LinkedIn company page. A lot of the chapters might not know the difference, and so I think it might make sense to just go through that really quickly. So a LinkedIn group page is one that anybody can create, and what it does is it provides everybody who follows that page a space where they can post their own information. So as you can see, we've got a post here that shows from Jim Hammond when he was talking about how you could register for the Tucson's State of the State for the hotel report. And so as you can see, those kind of platforms are great for if you want a space for your members to be able to communicate for offerings that they provide. The reason that I would recommend for each of the chapters to do a LinkedIn company page, which you'll see on this other side, is because what you're able to do is provide a voice for the chapter. So everything that is posted on this page is going to be coming from the chapter instead of individuals. So if the chapter has an up-and-coming event or wants to thank people for coming to one of their events, it's coming from us as a whole instead of an individual. Another reason of why a LinkedIn company page makes sense is because of the factor with a group page, you can't see any type of analytics. So you won't be able to see who's looking at your page, so who's a visitor of your page, as well as you won't be able to see things like how many people viewed your post, because they're going to be posted by individuals instead of by the chapter. Another thing you're able to see is how many new followers you have, or even custom button clicks. And so you can see these different analytics for different time frames and everything of that sort. I'll show you a live version of one of ours more recently, but this is just a snippet of it. And so what you're also able to do is look at your follower analytics. So at the point in time when I snipped this, we were at 185 followers for our chapter. And at that point in time, which it looks like it was in January, at the end of January, we had 50 new followers. So you can see that it shows all of ours are organic. Sponsored follower be based off of the factor if you were being charged, or LinkedIn was charging you for being able to create posts and bring people to your page. And so one thing I'm going to do right here is actually jump out of this for a second, just mix it up a little bit for y'all, and show you our page. So as you can see, our page since then has gained some followers, so we're now up to 751 followers. You can see the different posts that we do. It shows you internally who posted it, when they posted it. You can pin ones to the top or unpin them. And so pinning or unpinning, what that means is that you're able to put it at the very top of your page. And so what I did was I actually looked at just this one post. This one post has been viewed by 148 people. You can see that we've got our unique visitors. And here's another interesting thing that it can show you. It will actually show you how many people viewed it on their desktop versus mobile. And so these are all things that a company page comes along with. Another thing is its visitor demographics. So it actually will show you what position people are in that are viewing your page. Sorry about that, guys. Let me just turn down that real quick. Okay. So that's a little bit about the page. The analytics, you're able to view everything from your visitors, and you can change the date ranges, you can change the metric, you can change how many pages you want them to view, and it lets you do that in all the different areas. You can also see that with your updates. So we can see our updated highlights over the last 30 days. We had 140 reactions, 18 comments, and 9 shares. And so it will show you where those landed. And a very interesting part is it will provide you those numbers based off of what posts they are. So it gives you the title of that post, who posted it, when it was created, the impressions, if there's a video, how many people viewed it, how many people actually clicked onto it, and if there were reactions, comments, shares, and follows. Let me close that. There we go. And so it will show you all of them for as long as you want. So if I went and say just the last 12 months, just to show you, it shows you organically how many are done and where they happened. And then what it will show you is what those posts were and what your engagement level of those posts are. So you'll be able to see very quickly which posts caught people's eyes. So I'm going to take it back over here again. And I know I mentioned about the demographics. It will also show you where they're from. So your company page not only shows you the demographics of the positions that people are in, but also where they're located. Another thing that's easy to do, and none of this costs anything. So our chapter hasn't paid any dollars towards LinkedIn for creating anything or gaining followers. One of the things we've done is we've gone in and had our board members invite others to follow them. So you can see right here it shows you a little box where it says invite connections to follow. And so you have the opportunity, once you create one of these pages, to actually go through and find individuals that either say are sponsors or are members, or say they're even with a company that you're trying to get more involved, but you're connected personally with them. You can invite them then to follow your page. The next big piece of the puzzle, in order to really gain a following organically through your LinkedIn page, is creating content. So as you can see here, this shows just a little display of some of the artwork that we've created. And one thing I decided I want to do is just go through almost doing a little demo of, let's create a save the date right now. So I'm going to go over here. And so the product that we use is called Canva. I believe it's like $11 a month, and it provides you everything you need in order for your chapter to be able to create content to be posting. So as you can see, just with regards to our page, we have one that we created of our new board members, having a little statement that we provided. So stay safe and healthy, Arizona. We can't wait to see you again. So you can be creative with it. Another thing we do is we look at different sponsors of ours, thanking them for stuff. With everything going on with COVID, we provided our sponsors a space for them to be able to give resources for free that are there for COVID. Say you're looking for volunteers for different committees or for a virtual conference, maybe getting certified. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to go and create one right now. So we're going to create a design. We're going to go to the home. And so we're just going to go to save the date. And so I will tell you, I do kind of scour a little bit. I don't always choose the first one that pops up. And another thing you might do is look at even things related towards healthcare. And so maybe let's take, it's funny how when you want to find one, they never seem to pop right up. So let's take this one. So this one gives you a great template already. It's got some artwork. One thing you're able to do with this is you are able to go in and change the colors of anything. So I'm going to go through this, and we're just going to make some things red. And so you can creatively change things around to whatever you think fits. Say it's for one of your sponsors, and their colors are blue and red. You can change it based off of that. We're just going to stick with red just to go through this one. And so then what you can do is you can go in here. We're going to change this to save the date. You can change the size of anything. We can add an underline on it. You have so many different fonts to be able to use. And you really are able to change this as much as you want. Another thing you're able to do with regards to this is you can pull photos that they have as stock images, or you can actually go in and upload your own images. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull over our logo. And so we're going to move all of that over, change where the logo goes. And as I mentioned, it's all kind of play by number, whatever you think. There's no rhyme or reason or right or wrong to any of this. And so as you can see, maybe this one had 2 pages. Well, we only want this to become a 1-pager. So what we're going to do is that's going to be what we're going to put here. Let's maybe make that a little bit bigger. Okay. And And what we're going to do now is, it says print flyers over here. What you're actually able to do is you're able to download these for free. And so what I typically do is go into it and download a PNG file of these. And so let's see if it pulls up. And so there it is for us. And so then from that place, you're able to save this to your desktop, to any type of folder. And what we're able to do at that point in time is go back to our page and share a post. And so as you can see, you can add the photo we just did onto a post. You can also do videos. You can add hashtags. So another thing that we do is we have a couple of community hashtags that we've kept since we started our page. So ours are AZHFMA, Strive for 5, and Dare You to Move. And so that's that piece. Let me go back to here now. And so one thing that we've noticed to definitely help with boosting our posts and our followers on top of creating great content and inviting them to follow is going and tagging them. So one of the things we found is tagging companies, tagging individuals. So here's a couple of different posts. One is one that we did for some of our sponsors and exhibitors. And so what we did was we actually went in, and for that post, we went and tagged every one of our sponsors to that post so they see that they are getting visibility on our page. The middle one is one from this last year's Western Symposium that was in Vegas. And so we had some speakers that were from Denver Health, and we have Jeff from Banner in there. And so what we were able to do is we're able to tag those individuals on those images. And so then they see the post and are more likely to like it, follow it, possibly share it. We can also do that for, say, member spotlight. So we did a member spotlight for Lisa with Honor Health, thanking her for being part of our Arizona chapter, and an article that she was written up in. And so the last thing I'll just show you real quick is, I know I was showing you how it looks to an admin, but here's how it looks to anybody who's visiting it. So they can see our page, they'll see all of our different posts, they'll actually be invited to see different similar pages. As you can see, we've got the HFMA national page there, and the Hertel report are showing up, as well as the Illinois chapter. Another thing it does is it shows you who works here. So one thing that we have found is that when you have a board come on, have them actually add that they work here as a connection. And so what that does is when you go to their actual page, and I'll just go to my actual page to show you real quick how that looks. But if you go to their actual page, what it does is it gives an easy way for somebody to say, hey, HFMA Arizona chapter. They click on that, and it automatically then will take them to our page. And so that's really all I've got today. If anybody has any questions, thoughts, ideas, we found that different things like save the dates or see you today, doing things for your sponsors, or say for your Yerger Awards, certifications, board spotlights, even birthdays or new board announcements are really great ways to get posts out there that are going to be of interest to your chapters. So feel free to connect with me personally on LinkedIn. My name is Kayla Wagner, and I work for the Flex Technology Group. Or reach out on our actual page for HFMA, and I will be in touch with you guys. Thanks, everybody.
Hi, Kayla.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing well.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, sorry that my dog really likes to bark when recordings happen and all that fun stuff, but I know we're all dealing with it, so.
We are. It's just part of our new norm right now, right?
Exactly.
So that was a great presentation. It seems like you really have captured a lot of engagement on your LinkedIn page, which is awesome.
Yeah, so last year we started, when I decided to kind of take this on, we had a LinkedIn, like the other page, the company page, the not company page, and we had a Facebook page that both had about 200 followers. And so I kind of just decided to let go of both of those. And in January of 2019, started the HFMA company page with 0 followers, and we're now up to, I looked yesterday, I think it's 771.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's really great. Do you feel that the company page was more beneficial for your chapter to use than a group?
100%. So what we also found, and we've been talking about this this year, going into it, looking at it from an analytics for your sponsor level. So this was something I didn't think about when we were building out the page and everything, but because you have analytics, being able to see that each of your posts showed at anywhere between, and ours are going to impressions of anywhere between about 500 to 1,500, what you're able to do is let your sponsors know in your sponsor benefits that your LinkedIn page is getting visibility to about that many people. And so that brings another benefit for them, especially with now that we're all virtual. I think any type of benefit, letting them know that you're getting in front of your members and people that follow your chapter is huge.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And are analytics a paid service on LinkedIn?
No, so all of that comes free. The only thing that you would pay, so we don't pay for anything. I started this page, and when I started it, I literally just started posting, creating content, getting things out there, started trying to build a following. As I mentioned, one of the big things we did was we did have all of our chapter members put that they work there. And then our admins, we did have them go out and invite people that they know, because a lot of them work for the different hospitals, or they've been involved and have a lot of clients that are hospitals and healthcare. And so what you're able to do is when you send an invite for them to follow your page, it comes directly from you. So they're gonna know who's sending it to them. It's not like it's just HFMA chapter is asking you if you'd like to follow them. It's Kayla Wagner is inviting you to come follow the HFMA chapter page.
Oh, great, great. And then also, normally company pages are tied under an individual. How do you overcome that?
So it's actually not tied, well, it is kind of tied to an individual, but the thing is you are allowed to create as many admin as you want. So once you have somebody that is your main person that creates the page, you can then go in there and add as many admin or I guess it's just admin to the page. And so anybody that's an admin can add things, they can add people to follow, they can post things. And so even once that person leaves, you don't have to worry about it because other people have access to it. It's not where it's really just tied to one specific person in that sense.
Got it. Okay, great. Thank you. And then one last question for you. On Canva, is there a stock media photos to choose from?
Yeah, so they do have some stock images. I will say that I have noticed through the year of using it that some stock images you do have to pay for. Other ones you can use just right off of it, as well as once you kind of start enjoying sifting through it based on like the themes of your projects and stuff like that, you can put that in as your like content image that you're searching for. And then a lot of the times those images that are already on the photo and stuff like that are going to be stock images you can use. I think I've run into maybe only 10 times where there's an image that is a paid one where then I just go back and start recreating.
Perfect. That's great. Well, thank you so much, Kayla, again for joining us today. It was a pleasure listening to you and your best practices. And now we're going to hear from Myra from the Northern California chapter.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. We are here today with Myra Oliver, the Communications and Social Media Chair of the Northern California chapter. Welcome, Myra.
Hi, thank you. Thanks so much for having me and just being able to share with you guys some of our social media best practices. I hope everyone's staying safe and healthy. So we're just going to go over best practices, a few different platforms, social media platforms out there, And then just the additional benefits overall of social media. So if we go here, consistency is such a huge thing. So we as a chapter have a minimum threshold of making sure that we post 3 times a week. You know, the first thing to do is really decide what you as a chapter or what that your social media person can realistically do. And then whatever that is, you know, stick to it, whether it's once a week, whether it's 2 times a week, you know, the more the better. And we'll get into how social media actually has metrics that you can kind of gauge your audience, and you can even poll your members to see when the best time to post is. We also use our hashtag, which is hashtag HFMANCA. And if you do this, no joke, if you put our hashtag on Google, you're going to find our LinkedIn, our Facebook, our Instagram immediately pops up. So it's really important that you guys choose your hashtag, and then in every single post, you should put that in there, because it helps in searching who you are, and it also brands you guys. So as soon as other sponsors and things like that see your hashtag, this is potential sponsors and even providers, they know who you guys are. And then another big thing that our chapter does is we like to highlight our members, our membership, our sponsors, our providers as much as possible. So whether it's their birthday, if they get a certification, anything with sponsorship, we send out like, thank you for being our sponsor, especially when we have like an event or a conference. So we will also tag people in our posts. So we'll tag our sponsors, we'll tag our providers. They like that because then it's a win-win really when you do that, because then their audience and you know, their, I guess, quote unquote friends list gets to see what you're posting when you tag them. So if you can tag them, just remember to do that. And everyone loves recognition. And to be honest, that's really all we have in this, right? Is to recognize what our organization is doing, not just for each other, but what we can do for our sponsors. And that's really what it's about. And then knowing our audience, we mainly post on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter, because we know from the past year and after doing our metrics, we have found that our members tend to be Gen Xers, and they use those 3 platforms the most. Now, we still post on other platforms, but if I can't get to Instagram, for instance, then that's totally fine. If I just make sure I post on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter, that's our main thing, because that's where we mainly have our audience. So like I said, if you guys if you don't know how to use the metric system for Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter, or even Instagram, where it shows you, it breaks it down in graphs on like who's watching your posts, how many times it's been seen, what days you're getting the most engagement. That way you can really tailor your social media. And that has been such a great tool for us. And now, you know, especially in these times, we are having to postpone, we've had to cancel our conferences, just like many of you guys. And we're on Zoom conferences, and we've turned our conferences into virtual conferences or like a webinar series. And after speaking with our providers and polling them, we found that a lot of times providers, especially now, they just don't have the time, but they know how important particular subjects in our industry is. So they are willing to, you know, purchase a webinar series or purchase a virtual conference that they can always like look at later for a fee, and share that with their staff. So that has been really cool for us, because then as a chapter, we're still profiting, and that's, you know, we got hit pretty hard. Our bottom line got hit. So here, this screen, you can kind of see, this is just an infographic And it shows a few of the social media platforms and the primary audiences, what it's good for, and then what it's best for. So I went through, if you look at, let's see here, LinkedIn, that's probably, you'll probably get LinkedIn and Facebook. Like if you can't do 3 and you could only do 2, I would say post on LinkedIn and Facebook, especially for our organization, because it's more professional based. But I feel like you're going to get a lot more engagement from Facebook, just because statistically more people are checking their Facebook than they're even on a email. So people are just always checking their Facebook and LinkedIn. And then if you see the next graph, I have another infograph after this, and it breaks it down again. And you can see here, this infograph was completed in 2018, and there's so many out there. But you can see, you know, the numbers have just gone up, especially now. But if you look at Facebook, there's 2.23 billion monthly active users on Facebook. So that, you know, what that tells us is that even if you're not getting comments, even if you're not getting the engagement right away, just know that your audience is looking at, we're finding that they are looking at the posts, because when we have had our conferences, they'll say, oh, I remember that post you posted, or that was funny, or whatever it is. So we know that our membership is looking at our posts, even if they're not commenting. Because I mean, I do the same thing. I just kind of look at everyone's post. I don't always comment on it. Or sometimes I'll screenshot something that's cute or funny, but I don't always comment. But we know that our members are actively using. And then if we go to the next one, so the additional benefits, which is really the engagement and ROI of social media. And that pretty much wraps it up. I mean, it is so huge. We can't reach our providers through emails anymore. It either gets bounced back, or it goes into a junk folder, or there's a wall. So email is not working anymore. Phone calls really aren't working, but we are able to speak to our providers and sponsors. We've gotten sponsorship, you know, corporate sponsorship through social media. So we know that it is such a huge tool for us in communicating and engaging with our membership and potential membership. We've even got people to join our membership through social media, and that's how big it is. And so if you can invest just a little bit of time and stay consistent with it, you will find the ROI in social media. It is definitely there, without a doubt. So kind of that was it. That's just me at the end. Tracy has this has this slide. So if you guys want those infographics, they're available. I'm available if you guys have any questions. I know I kind of talk really fast. I'm from California, so that's like my thing. But just give me a call or shoot me an email. I'm always available. I love to collaborate. Collaboration's another huge thing for social media. So if you have any questions, but I'm really excited for this new kind of, what would you say this is, Tracy? Like, this is like our new,
I would say this is
like a new normal.
Yes, our new transformation into navigating to the new normal. I still think we have a ways to learn, but this is definitely very, very helpful, and we appreciate your time today, Myra.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
Hi, Myra.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. I hope everyone's doing well too.
Yes. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. It was good to see everyone.
It is. It's great to see everybody.
Wi-Fi issues. But.
Oh, that's okay. Everything's going great. That was a great presentation on social media. There are definitely many takeaways for chapters that use their own accounts. Some questions did come in for you. So does your Facebook, Twitter have to be listed as a professional page in order to access the metrics?
No. You can even get metrics on your own Facebook page if you wanted, your personal one. You can pull it up. Twitter, same thing.
Okay, wonderful.
And Instagram.
Instagram too,
Sorry.
Great. Perfect. No, you're great. And have you seen a lot of hacking and problems with Facebook?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Sure. Have you
hacking.
seen a lot of hacking and problems with Facebook?
I have heard that, and I've seen it on my personal pages where a personal page has been hacked. We, thank God, knock on wood, our chapter pages have not been hacked yet. You know, on Instagram, the closest thing I can say is that we've had like ads come in, but that have nothing to do with our field. But we haven't had anything where our email has gotten hacked or our Facebook so far.
Well, that's great. That's great news. And then just one last question for you. What's your top tip to get members to follow your social media pages?
Top tips, sharing. So like the previous presenter had mentioned, getting your membership to share what you post is huge because it shows it on their page and their followers. Also the tagging. We tag our providers and, you know, now they follow almost all of our pages. So most of our big providers for our chapter follow us on social media, and that's how they get a lot of the information on what's going on with our chapter.
Great, great. Awesome. Thank you so much again. I appreciate you being
Thanks,
here.
Guys.
And now we're going to hear from the Colorado chapter.
Hi, everyone. My name is Pilar Mank. I am the president of the Colorado chapter. And with me today is Chad Kirchhoff. He is the region exec 3 for Region 10 and our past president for the Colorado chapter. And what we're going to do today is talk a little bit about our volunteer participation and our CFO engagement. So as I'm sure many of you, we monitor our attendance meeting to meeting and had noticed that our meeting provider attendance continued to drop, and during the 2018-2019 year, it had dropped below 30%. And the CFO attendance was extremely low. We really watched our member surveys, what they had to say. It was repeated that they felt like the topics between the variety of meetings that we had throughout the year were too similar. We used local talent within Colorado and circulated those speakers over and over. The other piece was that the majority of our membership is in the Denver metro area, and they do not like to travel. So they wanted the meetings to stay within the metro area. And they wanted topics that were very timely. So the chapter officers came up with a plan to, and also wanted to engage our business partners in that plan. And Chad's going to tell you what we did.
Thanks, Pilar, and thank you everybody for taking the time to listen today. So as Pilar just laid out there, we definitely saw some issues around our provider engagement and our CFO engagement at our conferences and within our member engagement and volunteer leadership and committees. So in 2017 and 2018, that would have been my president-elect year, we started having discussions around what we need to do to start making sure we get the engagement and be able to provide our members the type of events and education that they would like, and provide ROI to our business partners who are spending a lot of money to be part of our chapter, to support our chapter, and to be able to have engagement with our members. So what we were looking at was, number one, we have a lot of engaged business partners, very, very passionate, and our officers, very, very engaged, passionate people. We're all from business partner world side of things. So, we were seeing, obviously, we weren't getting the engagement from the provider side there. So what could we do to change that? And the first thing we thought of is, let's develop that pool of people that we can go to and bring into the executive leadership of the chapter. So the first thing we did is we thought, let's go ahead and starting with 2018, 2019, hold our officers for a 2-year term while we build the pool of folks. So as we decided to hold our officers in place for a 2-year term, we got that approved by our membership. So we ran it by membership and got that approved. And then really going into 2018 and 2019, our main focus was to look at how do we build that pool of folks that wanted to move into volunteer positions. So we wanted to start looking at things that we were doing, looking at the survey, and start making changes to involve our members, our CFOs, and get them engaged. So the first thing we did at a strategic planning meeting that we had is we really kind of developed the mantra, don't be afraid to make mistakes. We were going to have to change a lot of things. There were a lot of things that we saw in the survey that folks wanted to change. And, you know, we don't have all the answers. So we had to, you know, think on our feet, be flexible, be nimble. And we knew that was going to mean we make mistakes. So don't be afraid to make mistakes, but have the courage to learn from those, change, and go from there. So that was one of the big things that all of the officers really, really embraced. As Pilar mentioned earlier, one of the things was the locations of our conferences. You know, we all know that budgets are tight. So, you know, going up into the mountains and spending, you know, 2-3 days there for a conference, while very nice, beautiful setting, we were losing members coming to that because they just didn't have the budget. So that was one of the issues. But we still wanted to make sure we were doing things with our rural communities. So we knew we had to develop the outreach and how we were going to still reach out to the rural members. We saw that our topics, our events were getting, you know, a little bit stale with how we were planning them. So we developed a centralized education committee so that we could kind of plan these things not in a silo, but together so that we wouldn't have the same topics or speakers. We wanted to evaluate that methodology through the centralized committee of how we were going to plan those events. We wanted to, we heard that our members want to hear from the association, so we started thinking about ways to get, you know, prominent speakers from the association to come to our events. We want to involve the CFOs and have them talk about hot topics. So how do we plan those to get the CFOs and CFO panels and roundtables, peer-to-peer roundtables were one of the ways that we definitely wanted to try to incorporate. And then we wanted to hear from the CFOs and senior financial leadership and revenue cycle folks what they needed. So we thought a brainstorming dinner would be a great way to go to do this type of thing. Go ahead and go to the next slide. So some of the things that we started doing in 2018, 2019, based on that plan of how we were going to change things, is we radically changed our rural conference and made it a fall conference and changed the location of that. That really met with mixed reviews. It was held in Colorado Springs, which is about an hour from Metro Denver. We did a lot of panels in that, long panels. And while some of it was definitely a move in the right direction, we had mixed results from that. So we made that mistake. We made mistakes, and we weren't afraid to make those mistakes, but we learned from what we did, what the members said they liked about it, what they didn't like about it, and we made changes and moved on to our next conference. So the annual conference was our next one, held in Denver. This was the first time we went outside of a hotel, really. We had it at an event center. So it drastically reduced our cost for the hotel and gave us budget to do other things besides spend it on the hotel. And it was an awesome event, awesome place, awesome feedback. So that was a great move. And then the other things that we did is we started bringing in those prominent members from the association. We had Kevin Brennan there to keynote it and to moderate the CFO panel. We had a great CFO panel. We had a great revenue cycle panel. And we made sure the topics were what people wanted to hear. Instead of having those 90 minutes, which just seemed to be way too long, we limited those to an hour. So those were really kind of great feedback on those. And then the next thing we did is we incorporated the Cfo Brainstorming Dinners. So we had a dinner there and had about 15 CFOs. We invited all the CFOs and were able to get about 15 of them to come to the dinner. And we sat around for 2 hours. The officers, the board, Kevin Brennan was part of that. We had a great dinner and a great discussion on what they want to see, topics they want to see, how they're going to see ROI and value to let their members come in and do the things that they want to do with our educational events. What did that do for a volunteer pool and our volunteer leadership? It was amazing. It was awesome. We got interest from a lot of folks that wanted to be, we were looking for an assistant treasurer. We actually had to hold interviews of 5 different people because we had 5 people that were interested in the assistant treasurer position. And we filled that with an individual from SCL, so from the provider side. And he's moving into our treasury position this year. We had 9 new providers that came in on our chairs and members of committees. We looked at our chair structure and knew we had to bring in new ideas for that. So Pilar came up with the brilliant idea of let's rotate those. Let's have a 2-year rotation there. So we're bringing in new folks. We're giving providers a chance to get in there, learn, understand, bring new ideas, be part of that chair structure. And then, as I mentioned, that centralized education committee really took off at this point. So going into 2019, 2020, so this was our second year of my presidency and the officers holding their 2-year term. We again made a big change to the fall conference. We brought that down to Metro Denver. Our attendance skyrocketed. We continued to do the CFO panel. Joe Pfeiffer was there, keynoted the conference and moderated the CFO panel. And again, just turned out to be a hit. Our provider participation went up to 40%. We had fallen down to below 30 on that. So just amazing turnout for that based on what we had been doing. Our annual conference this year, unfortunately, just like every other chapter, we had to cancel that due to COVID-19. But that doesn't mean we stopped with our ideas and how to evolve. Pilar and the executive team this year are going to be doing a lot of things, thinking outside of the box to keep it, virtually, to keep that involvement and that engagement and the things that we're doing continuing, whether that's through WebExes, virtual networking. We're thinking through a lot of different things. We're not just stopping because the pandemic has put a halt on getting together face to face. Obviously, we're looking at a lot of virtual things. Volunteer leadership again this year. We developed that pool. So we had 3 spots on our board to fill this year: 2 board members and our officer, the secretary track. We were able to fill one of those spots with a board member, and the secretary, one of those spots with a provider, and the secretary is a provider. So within our officer rank, we've now got that provider representation that we wanted, and we've got a really good representation of that on the board. The other spot that we filled was with a passionate business partner that just supports and has a lot of great ideas for us going forward. So we have a lot of passion in our chapter. The business partners are just awesome in how they support us, and we certainly don't want to turn away from them as far as leadership in there. We want to make sure we're keeping their ideas there. So we're looking for people like the board member that's joined on the business side of it to really bring a lot of great ideas. And then that centralized education committee, that's just really taken off. We're getting topics put together. We're getting speakers put together. We were planning, and we're going to continue to plan, but we were planning our conferences in a integrated approach instead of siloed. So we're going to continue doing that in different ways that Pilar and team will be working on. So with that kind of summarizes what we were looking at and the changes we made. And then Pilar will kind of take this home with where we're at now.
Thanks, Chad. So as Chad had mentioned, with the renewal of providers in there and getting CFOs involved, we reached out to a couple of past presidents that were CFOs and asked them to join. They actually stepped into some board positions and have been an integral part of helping us plan education that the CFOs are interested in themselves and what they would be willing to send their staff to. The other piece of it involving with the CFOs is having them part of our brainstorming, as Chad said, sessions, but making their time limited so they could participate and help us as they could. We know that their time is very valuable, and that seemed to be a stumbling block for us because time commitment was too much. So we continue to involve them in our planning, and as Chad had said, we have become the chapter that is definitely willing to throw something up against the wall and see if it sticks, and if it doesn't stick, well, then we're going to try something else. Another piece would be that we have brought in on our board 2 of our aspiring leaders that come from the early careerist side of it to get some fresh blood so us old timers can step out and we can bring them in and help us as we move forward into our next new reality. So that's, I think that's all that we have for today. If you have any questions, we'll be happy to take them.
All right. Great job, you guys. That was such a wonderful presentation. And I know there was a lot of buzz in the chat about the very, very cool backgrounds that you guys have.
Yes.
I think we're all jealous of them.
I think we're getting Jessica involved here on this conversation. Jessica Griffith, who is our office coordinator and all-around guru when it comes to media and marketing, is who did this. Jessica, are you on now?
I am.
Okay.
All right. So this is actually, and the program I used is one we talked about a little earlier in the chat. We use Adobe Spark, and it's actually really similar to the Canva software that our, I guess, site that Arizona was saying that they use. So I just went in there and created the background. I used stock photo that Adobe had available and just imposed our logo on it. Then you can export it out as a JPEG or a PNG and load that via Zoom on your virtual background. I think most of us have some experience on changing the virtual background. So just kind of a fun way to present, I guess.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for sharing that. We appreciate the tips. And if anyone has questions, you can always send about how to use this. We can always maybe connect you with Jessica if you want to send a note to our chapter email box. We can go ahead and try to connect that way. But I think everything else we were able to answer through the chat. So I will just thank you guys for being willing to share your best practice. And we will kick it over now to Region 8 to present theirs. Thank you.
Hi, welcome to the Region 8 Provider Scholarship Program. We are so excited to tell you about this program that really turned around the provider attendance at our regional conference and kind of walk you through the basics on that and some of the details for that matter. So my name's Devin Kim, and with me today are Jackie Hendricks and Cindy Fisher, and we were the 2019-20 RE team for Region 8. I am from the Sunflower Chapter, also known as Kansas. So let's hop into learning more about the Region 8 Provider Scholarship Program, shall we? So Region 8 has a regional conference called the Mid-America Summer Institute. That's MASI for short. And we kicked off in 2013 with a regional conference with the intention of spending about 2 years in different cities within the region and then moving on. So to give the conference, you know, a little bit of geographical flair, if you will. And so one of and a lot of great things happened when we kicked this off. And namely, I think it really brought our region together in working towards creating this conference together. But we were running into a bit of an issue with our attendance increasing, but that attendance increase was really more from business partners as opposed to providers. So then we're faced with that question that so many of our chapters face, which is how can we increase provider attendance? So we worked on providing a scholarship to our providers. And we kind of went about it one way to start out with, and then rebooted that and started providing it in a new way. So, Jackie, is this you or is this me?
It's you still.
Okay, that's what I thought. I was just testing you, really.
I gotcha.
I know. So our Legacy Scholarship Program, let's talk about that. So we started this quite a few years ago, and in 2018, the scholarship program looked like this. And a provider attendee had to be an HFMA member to get a scholarship. And that scholarship included 2 to 3 hotel room nights as well as full conference registration. And in order to kind of ensure that our attendees had a little bit of skin in the game, we required them to put down a $100 deposit upon acceptance of the scholarship, and then we refunded the provider that $100 when they checked in. So 38 scholarships were bestowed under this program, and here's the crazy thing about this program. Seems like maybe it would be handled at the regional level, but it wasn't. The way that this started was that the chapters each handled giving out 4 to 5 scholarships themselves. And then they reported up to the scholarship committee chair for the conference on who had been given these scholarships. So we had a lot of cooks in the kitchen, and that doesn't always yield a delicious result. So we also, as a result of the way that we did this, scholarship recipients found out kind of less than 2 months before our conference started if they were actually going to get a scholarship, and that didn't always work for folks' schedules. So we had a lot of back and forth communication going on. So we knew that there was probably an opportunity for figuring out a way to not only increase the provider attendees up from the 38, but also kind of decrease the administrative difficulties. And so that's kind of where we found ourselves feeling like we were ready for a change. Okay, Jackie Hendricks, I'm going to pass the mic to you at this point.
Thank you so much, Devin. All right, I'm Jackie Hendricks. I am from the Minnesota chapter. And I'm going to talk a little bit about our current scholarship program. So this is the program that we had in place for our 2019 MASD conference last August. So the eligible attendees, you can see, did not change. You still needed to be a provider and had to be an HFMA members. Payers were also eligible, but again, we limited the number of seats available for our payer group. This year, though, we did 30 scholarships that had the full conference registration and only 1 hotel night. And then on top of that, we provided a provider discount available at a rate of $95. And we were able to open that discounted rate up to 64 providers, which was a discount of the $325 full conference registration fee. There was a lot less risk with this structure as well, because we were only covering that 1 hotel night with our providers instead of 2 to 3 nights, which really took up a good chunk of the money we had set aside for providers to attend. We also were informing our provider scholarship recipients of their scholarship much further in advance. And so where it was 2 months, I believe Devin had said before, we were trying to get information to them at the beginning of the year for an August conference or close to it, and also let them know that if they were not receiving a scholarship, that they would still be eligible for the better discount rate. So people were pretty pleased about that. The total spend for our scholarship program from 2018 to 2019 was still the same, but you can see we had a significant amount of increased provider attendance at this last conference, which of course makes our business partners very happy to see that number increase as well. And with that, I'm actually going to pass the mic over to Miss Cindy Fisher.
All right, thank you, Jackie. I'm Cindy Fisher. I am with the North Dakota chapter, and I just want to let you know some of our lessons learned from this journey in revamping our scholarship program. So as Devin and Jackie mentioned, we really had a need that we needed to increase our provider attendance. And so through the revamping of this program, we were able to increase the ratio of the provider to vendor attendance by 9%. So in real numbers, we had 51 providers attend in 2018, and we were able to increase that to 94 providers in 2019. So a really good increase, and we were looking forward to having an even greater increase this year, and that isn't going to happen, but we're really proud of the increase that we did see. One of the other lessons learned is that having that $100 down payment to incentivize people to really have some skin in the game really was not beneficial, and as was mentioned, it really was a bookkeeping nightmare. So it really wasn't as beneficial as we thought it would be. But what we did find was very beneficial was shifting those dollars, the scholarship dollars that we had set aside in our budget, and shifting them from paying for nights of hotels to having scholarships or being able to offset that registration discount for providers. So overall, I think we had a big win in our region with this program. So that's a little bit about our program, and we, of course, are available as resources to anyone who has any questions about how we implemented this. So please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you for your time today.
Yay. Great job, ladies. And I always love seeing those lovely red, white, and blue shirts. Of course, repping for Region 8, but also the Twins. I know that at least 2 of you are fans, so go Twins. I have my mug today too. Yay. There you go. So I know there was some questions in the chat. I think Devin, you maybe answered it, but we can ask it for the whole group. How did you pay for the scholarship program? Was it through sponsorship revenue, or how was that handled?
Yeah, we just budgeted for, it was the same footprint as we said, and it was the amount that we budgeted for scholarships, but it was essentially through sponsorship revenue that we were able to do that.
Awesome. And then I know this is probably a burning question everyone had when they were watching the video, but with the new current scholarship program, is that a centralized process in distributing the scholarships, or is each chapter responsible for that?
Yeah, that is a centralized process now through our sponsorship chair. So it's not, previously it was decentralized within the individual chapters. And so, yeah, it is centralized now, which is much more efficient for everyone.
Yes, it is. Because you can about imagine when multiple chapters are chatting and deciding how many, have you used up all your scholarships? Do we still have some left? How can we redistribute them? Yes.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. Another question just came in. What were the requirements to be awarded the scholarship?
Yeah, you had to be a HFMA member from a provider organization, and it could be clinic, hospital, whatnot. And there were some that we were offering to payers, but Devin and Cindy, I guess I don't recall if we had many payers take advantage of that in this last year, or actually in any year. But it was an option. But you had to be a standing member of a provider organization.
Were you able to accommodate all of the providers who applied for the scholarship, or was there more demand than available slots?
We were able to accommodate everyone who applied, and that was awesome.
But I think part of the innovative thing that you guys had done was, there were reduced rate options too, so that there really were more slots that were open.
Correct. Someone asked, the awardees were not required to volunteer. As a matter of fact, in previous iterations of this scholarship program, there were some kind of ideas that we had around scholarship awardees, and it's just not the kind of conference that we want to provide, and we just want to make it really easy for providers to come and get that education. So no, that's not, we don't need to do that.
And we have another question. Did you have a compliance issue with providers not able to accept?
No,
I don't think we have.
Cindy, you should take this one.
I should. Also,
Hey, compliance
officer.
The compliance officer of the group. I don't believe we had issues with providers accepting this, although that is a very good question. So, but I don't think that we had that issue because I think the people who applied for them were able to accept them. Like Devin said, we were able to accommodate everyone who has applied for the scholarships.
I can say that in years prior, I think we did tie scholarships to specific business partners. And I do recall years ago that was a compliance issue, but we stopped providing the scholarship in that context. So it hasn't been an issue recently.
Mm-hmm. Did you have the scholarship awardees make a deposit?
Once again, that was part of the legacy program, and that was an accounting nightmare. I would not recommend doing that. So really, the few providers who received the one hotel night, they were responsible for any other nights with that. So, but it was really that reduced rate, that $95 provider rate, that drew the most attendees.
Mm-hmm. Right. Awesome. Well, it sounds like some people are very much missing the fact that there is not a Massey in 2020. Very nice comment, Bill. Yes, pool party at Jackie's. Well, thank you, three lovely ladies, for presenting and sharing the best practice with us. We really appreciate it and taking all of these questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
And we'll hand it over to Pete and Marcy.
Well, Pete, I don't know about you, but I just want to thank all of the chapters that presented today. They really hit it out of the park.
Yeah, they sure did. And I want to thank you too, Marcy. I got you these beautiful flowers. They were very expensive and I paid for them myself. So
yeah.
And I will give you the gift, since this is kind of our parting part here, of one last joke. You ready?
I'm ready.
So which baseball player makes pancakes?
I don't know. Which one?
The batter. Great job, everybody. Really appreciate you getting this.
Thanks. Next up will be Steven. Get out of your seat for a 7th inning stretch, and then join us back here using the 2:30 session Zoom link that's populated in the chat.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Thanks.